Have you ever noticed that some people only seem to recognize your value after they lose access to you? Not while you're showing up, not while you're helping, not while you're supporting, not while you're answering the phone, not while you're giving second chances, not while you're extending grace, not while you're being patient. No. They seem to wake up the moment you're no longer available, the moment you stop answering, the moment you stop explaining, the moment you stop overextending, the moment you stop carrying the relationship, the moment you become unreachable. And for a lot of people, this is confusing because they think, if I was so valuable, why didn't they appreciate me when I was there? See, human beings have a tendency to adapt to what is constantly available. We become familiar with it, become comfortable with it. We begin to expect it. And if we're not careful, we begin to take it for granted. That's not just true in relationships either. It's true in friendships, in families, in workplaces, even opportunities. You see, the more accessible something becomes, the easier it is for people to overlook its value. And that is exactly why becoming unreachable creates such a dramatic shift. Because suddenly reality becomes impossible to ignore. You see, most people don't realize what they had because they never had to experience life without it. And today, we're going to talk about the psychology behind it. We're going to talk about why some people only recognize value when access disappears, why kindness is often mistaken for weakness, why boundaries make people uncomfortable, and why becoming unreachable isn't cruel. Is often very necessary. Kindness and access are not the same thing. Understand, kindness and access are not the same thing. You can be kind and still have boundaries. You can be loving and still protect your peace. You can be compassionate and still say no. But many people grow up believing that being a good person means constantly being available, always answering, always helping, always fixing, always understanding, always sacrificing. And over time, something dangerous happens. People stop appreciating the kindness and start expecting it. You see, the kindness becomes normal. The sacrifices become normal. The availability becomes normal. And once something becomes expected, people stop treating it like it's a gift. They start treating it like an entitlement. And that's where problems begin. Because entitlement is the enemy of appreciation. People rarely appreciate what they believe they are entitled to. And let's go deeper. Why do people take good people for granted? The answer is simpler than most people realize. You see, predictability is when someone believes you'll always be there. They stop considering the possibility that you might leave. When someone believes you'll always forgive them, they stop considering the consequences of their behavior. When someone believes that you'll always answer the phone, they'll stop valuing your time. Not because they're evil either, not because they're monsters, because human beings naturally adapt. Psychologists call this habituation. People become accustomed to what they experience repeatedly. What once felt special begins to feel normal. What once feels valuable begins to feel expected. And what becomes expected often becomes overlooked. That's why some people don't realize your worth until your absence forces them to. And this is important. Your kindness was never the problem. Being loving wasn't the problem. Being supportive wasn't the problem. Being understanding wasn't the problem. The problem was allowing people to believe your kindness had no limits. Because when there are no boundaries, people stop seeing where you end and where they begin. They stop recognizing your humanity, your needs, your energy, your emotions, your time. And eventually they begin to treat your kindness like a resource instead of a gift. That's when becoming unreachable becomes necessary, not as a punishment, not as revenge, as self-respect. And here's something very interesting. Many people don't react when they're hurting you. They react when they lose access to you. Think about it. Some people can ignore your feelings for years, ignore your boundaries, ignore your needs, ignore your sacrifices. But the moment you pull back, the moment you stop participating, the moment you become unavailable, suddenly they have a problem. Why? Because your absence forces them to confront reality that they were benefiting from something that they never appreciated, reality that you were doing more than they realized, reality that you were carrying more than they acknowledged, reality that you had value all along. And reality is uncomfortable, especially when it exposes someone's blind spots, you see. Becoming unreachable is not about making people suffer. It's about reclaiming your energy. It's about recognizing that your peace matters. It's about understanding that not everyone deserves unlimited access to you. Some people think that boundaries are selfish. They're not. Boundaries are clarity. Boundaries teach people how to treat you. Boundaries reveal intentions. Boundaries expose entitlement. Boundaries often reveal who truly values you because healthy people respect boundaries. Manipulative people resist them. Emotionally mature people understand them. Entitled people become offended by them. That's why becoming unreachable reveals so much about the people around you. It forces truth to the surface. And if you're listening to this right now and you've had to become unreachable to certain people, understand this. You didn't become cold. You became aware. You didn't become cruel. You became wise. You didn't stop caring. You stopped abandoning yourself. And there is a difference. And sometimes the greatest act of self-respect is realizing that access to you is a privilege, not an obligation. You are not required to set yourself on fire to keep other people warm. You are not required to sacrifice your peace so other people can stay comfortable. You are not required to continuously explain your worth to people determined to overlook it. Let reality do the talking. Let your absence do the teaching. Let your boundaries do the filtering. And let your peace become non-negotiable. Because the moment you stop giving unlimited access to people who exploit your kindness is often the moment your life begins to change. And that change isn't selfish, it's necessary.